Welcome into the Jamey Chadwell Show. Kevin O'Rourke alongside Coach Chadwell. CSU now 1-1 on the season following a 57-7 win over Kentucky State, and the run of states continues this Saturday with a pretty good one. Tallahassee, Florida State, a game you can watch on Fox Sports South, and we'll talk about that as we continue, but good to get a win, certainly on Saturday.
It was. We were, obviously you're the better team, and so you want to come out and play that way, and I thought our guys did that, especially coming off the tough loss and just a lot of things, turmoil going on. It was good to see us come out there and have a good focus and play pretty well. There were some tough injuries that we got during that game that is going to be tough to overcome as we go forward. But 1-1, so we're good. We're excited about that win and being in front of the home crowd. I thought it was a good crowd, at least for our part. Kentucky State didn't bring a lot of people, but besides that, it was a good day.
Did you have a good feel going into the game as far as where the focus level was after the loss and everything of that week?
Yeah, I thought we had a pretty sharp week of practice. There was obviously a disappointment, but the thing that I learned about our team is they don't let too many things dwell for the most part. We sort of move on and do from those things. So I thought we'd come out and play pretty well. They were unknown. Obviously, we had not a lot of video, new coach, so if you'd have known a little bit about them, maybe it'd have been a little bit more easier to do some things. But I thought our guys handled it pretty well.
Take a look at some highlights from Saturday's game against Kentucky State. Bucks were undefeated at home last year and winning the Big South Conference Championship and got their 8th straight home win in this one. And Kentucky State gets the ball first, and your defense really didn't allow much of anything. You get the ball, and Mike Holloway gives you a 49-yard run to get you started.
Yeah, it was defense did a good start there, going a 3-and-out, and then Mike, breaks one here, has a chance to. Almost take it to the house, about outran the angle there and did off to a great start. And then we obviously finished the drive right here with a nice little play up inside.
10-yard Holloway touchdown run. Bucks rushed for 405 yards. Ball was actually ruled a fumble on the field, but overturned, so Bucks get out to a quick lead. Kentucky State gets the football back, and you made some big plays in the punt return game as well.
Yeah, it was good to see. Obviously, Darius, is as good as advertised when he does his things. He had a great game today or Saturday returning punts. He had so many in a row. He got so tired there, had to start giving him oxygen because he broke 3 in a row, really back to back to back. But it was good to see us do some things in special team and make some plays.
3 long returns, all of them gave you a short field. Keelan Fraze had a touchdown in the second half. Ben Robinson will be going back home this week to Tallahassee. He gets in the end zone there, and would think to come right out and take a 2-score lead had to be a good feeling after the week.
It was nice just to put some points on the board and see guys playing hard. Our defense obviously clamped down and did some good stuff. And any time that they're punting and you get Darius back there and you get a chance for him to do something punting again, something big's about to happen.
Gerald Turner, Zane Cruz at the tackle for loss leads to a punt, and this Hammond to return another one that he almost takes to the end zone and gives you a short field again. And we saw Keelan Fraze in the second half as well. And those kind of plays, flipping the field, are going to be big as you get into games against opponents that are more on your level.
Correct. You need these type of plays all game, and they do. They give us a short field, give us a chance to score. You see DJ Curl here on a safety blitz and get us a nice tackle there. So thought our defense obviously did a good job, and then our running game, Mike and all of our backs did a nice job executing the offense. And backup quarterbacks had to play, and thought for the most part they did a pretty good job.
Shane Busnell handing there to Mike Holloway, his second touchdown, 3 carries, 68 yards for him. You go back to work here, Alan Barnwell, who's the 4th senior that maybe doesn't get as much playing time, but certainly has some of the best speed on your team.
Yeah, AB had a really good camp, and he's been doing really well special teams wise, and it was good to see him break out here. His attitude has been tremendous. He's obviously behind some people, but he's worked so hard in practice, and it was good to see him get that big run and get a touchdown, and all the hard work, him starting to see some fruits of his labor.
Saw DJ Curl with the sack earlier, Corbin Jackson then with a sack, and Shane Busnell makes his career debut, and he made some nice plays both on the ground and through the air.
Yeah, I thought Shane, he had a nice little game there. He did some solid things throwing the ball and running. He's obviously young. This is his first playing time, have a chance to play, but he's got some talent that we like. There's some things that he's got to improve. You can see right here another young player, Craig Johnson, who's behind Solomon, came in and does a nice job.
Craig Johnson with the sack. Shane Busnell, this touchdown pass pushes it to 43-0. Really nice throw. And then Jared Scotland, who talking to Gabe Gardenia, is a guy who had a really good fall camp as well. He scores a big play on touchdown.
Yeah, that was good. We thought he was going to get ran down by that D lineman right there, but he pulled away, which was nice to see. And it was good for him to get in the end zone, and he stepped his role up as well.
Gives you a 43-0 lead at that point. Bucks led it 43-7 at the half. This is another big play in the return game, kind of unconventional, as Fraze lets it get back about 25 yards with the roll and then turns around the field with the return.
Yeah, Darius obviously gets out of the pub, but Keelan's does a nice little job returning as well. He's quick and can do some good things, and it showed, and it'll obviously show here later as well.
It was late first half action. Channon Hamilton, a redshirt freshman who made his debut, he had a nice run, and then this is the Fraze touchdown return in the second half. And Keelan got some playing time, especially early in the season last year, and maybe it can be a factor this year at times for you guys too.
We're hoping so. Obviously, we've got depth at running back, and so those guys right now, their carries are limited is what they'd like to have. But you mentioned him, Channon. Ronnie Harris was a redshirt freshman that made his debut as well. So we've got some good young stable of guys, and it was good for a game like this. They get in and they get their feet wet, so to speak.
That score made it 50-7. This one makes it 57-7. London Johnson, a 33-yard touchdown run, and that's probably what he does best.
Yeah, London's got some ability. Obviously, he misread it there. That's why he had to make somebody miss, but he's talented enough to make somebody miss. And then here we put our 15 quarterback in, Stephen Cagle, who's also our first-team tight end. He was a high school quarterback, and so we wanted him to run a little offense and, did a nice job executing. You saw his swiftness, his speed there. And but it was a good win. It was nice to just be at home, and sing the alma mater and be able to sing the fight song in the locker room for a win. So that was good for our guys. And, hopefully, you get a game like this now, we're going into the next one sort of the same situation. We're just reversed, and so we know how that feels. But, you want to go in there with a win and go in there with confidence. And we'll go down to Tallahassee with confidence, feeling good about our team.
London Johnson and Stephen Cagle, slightly different look carrying the football.
Yeah, they're if you put them beside each other, they look like the number 10. One's thin, the other one's a little more swollen, a little bit. But Cagle, which is great about him, he very intelligent, so knows a lot of the roles, and for him to be able to go into quarterback, not taking any reps there and to execute an offense, he ran a couple plays. It was it shows I think his intelligence and his mental capacity of the football game. He's going to be a great coach one day.
Stephen Cagle's first down run, part of a 405-yard rushing effort. We saw Ben Robinson. He was a part of that as well. He's a Tallahassee native, and we got a chance to catch up with him this week. Ben Robinson had never heard of Jamey Chadwell prior to a late January 2013 phone call. With National Signing Day just over a week away, Robinson was looking for a place to play. Chadwell, on the job at Charleston Southern for barely more than a week, was looking for players.
I remember the first time I talked to him, it was late at night. It was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I got a phone call, and I'm like, what is his number? And very first thing he asked me is, what do you run a 40 in? I was like, 4.4. He was like, that's believable. You want a scholarship?
Robinson has taken full advantage of his only scholarship offer, helping the Bucs to the most successful stretch in program history. The 5'7" speedster contributed immediately, starring in his college debut and giving CSU an edge threat in its option running game. The coaches put Robinson on the field due to his grasp of the offense, one that may not have been as extensive as they believed.
Playing as a true freshman, it was very interesting because everyone thought that I was so good and I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just asking Christian Reyes for the plays every time. I was like, what do I have right here? What do I have right here? And he would tell me exactly what I would do every single play.
Robinson made more plays as a sophomore, rushing for 505 yards and 4 touchdowns. More of the same followed last year, as he averaged over 6 yards per carry to help CSU to a Big South Conference title. Classmates Darius Hammond and Mike Holloway garner most of the attention among CSU's group of running backs, but Robinson doesn't mind, according to Coach Newland Isaac.
Oh, he's never cared about that stuff. I mean, personality-wise, he's probably the more vocal leader in my room over the other two. He just has an outgoing personality, great personality, never complains about those other two guys getting all the hype or any of that stuff. He don't care about that. I mean, he just goes out and play.
This week, Robinson gets a chance to play at home in Tallahassee, Florida, a place he rushed for 1,475 yards as a senior at Lincoln High School, a powerhouse program that's produced over a dozen NFL players. Robinson sat in the stands for more than a few games at Bobby Bowden Field, and more than a few family and friends will be in those same seats to watch the Bucs line up against the Seminoles on Saturday.
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot, 30 plus actually. It is pretty cool. I grew up going to the Florida State games and always watching them as a little kid, and it's exciting to be able to play a game of my last season ever playing football back at my hometown.
Back in Tallahassee is where the criminal justice major hopes to be next fall. He aspires to attend law school at Florida State and will tackle the challenge of the LSAT once football is done. A 3.6 GPA and a vision for his future give Robinson a chance to realize another dream.
Great student. We have these end of the year meetings with them, end of semester, end of the year meetings with them all the time. And you talk about their plan, what do they want to do after they get done. And he's one that you can sit down and when you bring that up, he has a whole list of everything of how he wants to plan, how's he wanted it to go, and his plan for how he's going to go about it. I mean, he's on top of that, and it's awesome to have one that can sport a 3.6 GPA. It's a great player, has a plan for his future. It's been great to have.
Welcome back on the Jamey Chadwell Show. Ben Robinson's been a contributor since his true freshman season, and tell us a little bit about you recruiting him. What's your recollection of that?
Well, I don't recall some of the things that he says. He's told this story that I just asked him how fast he was, and he said he was 4.4, and I said, all right, that'll do. Take you. Maybe I did. Who knows? At that time, I got the job 2 weeks before signing date, and it was a whirlwind. And a good friend of mine called me and said, hey, we've been recruiting this kid, but we're not going to take him for whatever reason. And he came from a powerhouse down there in Tallahassee and Lincoln. They went to the state championship game that year, and everything you saw in high school, he's been able to do here, the burst and the vision that he has. So, we sort of signed him on blind faith. I think he decided to come on blind faith, and boy, has he worked out, tremendous for our football team and for him as well. He's got well above a 3.0 GPA, going to graduate here in December. Just been a great citizen for our program, a model for our program, and a team leader for our program.
Trying to go to law school too, so a pretty impressive kid.
He is. He's got a lot of ambition. He works in the summers, works in the off season some, and he really wants to make change in the world. When you hear come people say, I want to change the world. He really has a vision to want to do that, and feels like he can. And I think with the way he is, the way he goes about doing things, his mindset, he can do anything he puts his mind to, because he's obviously not the tallest in stature, so I think everybody's always said you can't, and he's proven them otherwise. He's had a great 3-year career here so far, off to a good start here and going into his senior year, and with his academics. He wouldn't surprise me if he's president one day. He's just that type of kid.
Ben will get a chance to play at home. Your team will get a chance to play in front of 90,000 plus against one of the programs in college football, and that's something you've done now 3 years in a row. Georgia, Alabama. Who knows what we got coming down the pipeline? But
I'm sure they'll be top 5.
You can almost book that. Florida State, a win last night, but aside from the football, Florida State, the experience for your guys and the experience for you too, as a guy who loves college football.
Yeah, it's that's something pretty special. Florida State, as you mentioned, is one of the all-time great programs. Doak Campbell, Bobby Bowden, all the history they have, and obviously Coach Fisher and what he's been able to do in his time there, the national championship and the things. That's a special part of it, that you do get to experience that. You get to be on a field that's have Heisman Trophy winners, national champions. Get to coach against coaches that are, making a lot more money than the rest of us, the legends they are. So that's always good. It's good for our kids from Florida that grew up, either a Gator or a Cane or a Seminole, either one. That's something they wanted to do. So there's a lot of positives from it. There's also negatives, but you choose. It's what you choose to focus on and what your perspective of it is, and so we're going to go down there and enjoy it and go down there and represent our university the best we can.
London Johnson, he might be making his first start in quite a venue. You made your first start against an FBS school too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Starkville, Mississippi on homecoming. So that was my first game starting. I think I was a junior. I'd played some as a backup, and then coaches decided they wanted me to start me that game because they didn't want the starter to get hurt. And so, hey, let Jamey go in there and took the opening kickoff. We held the ball for 9 minutes and scored. We went up 3-0. We got beat 56-3. So, but for those 9 minutes, we were as good as anybody that year. So, but it was a good experience. Obviously, got beat, but just to be able to play in those atmospheres, and it's things you remember.
It's like little Giants. You had that one time.
Had the one time.
That one drive.
Yeah, that one drive that I always think of it sort of like Napoleon Dynamite. If Coach just gave me the chance, I could have took us to state.
Exactly.
That's what I think usually.
London got a chance to play against Kentucky State in the second half, but hasn't really played a lot, obviously. Now he plays against a team like that. What do you do to try to prepare him mentally?
Well, one thing, you got to try to limit the things that we do and try to say, hey, what can he do where at least he can execute it? Two, we know they're really, really good, and it might not matter what we're doing. They're probably, to have a chance to move the ball, we've got to do things that can at least slow them down some. And so you got to try to put him where he's comfortable and confident what we're doing. And then, go let him do it. And, maybe he's executing it well, but we can't block him or whatever. That's okay. We just got to build him on just do what you're capable of and try to build his confidence going forward because, he'll be a part of what we have to do going forward, And so that's a challenge. It's the disappointing part of it is you got to break in one. You don't want to break in against a top 5 program in the country and the people they have because, it's not like you're going to have much success anyway, no matter if you're going down there with the best of the best because of how good they are. But on the other hand, you won't see another team as good as them either the rest of the year. And so if you can execute and do some things versus a group like them, then that should give you confidence going forward that, hey, if you'll do the things that you're capable of and play the way you're capable of, good things should happen. So depends on how you want to choose to look at it. And we're going to try to put ourselves in position to make some plays and execute against one of the top programs in the country. And if we can do that, regardless of the outcome, then we'll feel good about what happens going forward.
The last couple of years you've played these games at the end of the season. Now you play at the beginning. You kind of sit down, I guess. But has that changed the way at all that you might approach the game?
Well, I think towards the end, if you're putting yourself in a position where you go in the playoffs and some of those things, you're trying to get through it to where you go compete, but you also know, hey, we got something bigger coming up, so let's make sure we're ready for that. This early in the stage of the year, you're still trying to develop depth. You're still trying to get guys sharp. You're trying to develop a bunch of different things, and so you need to go down there and play 4 quarters and one to see if you're, who can do it, who's going to rise up on a big stage. End of the year, you already know who you guys are. Right now, you're still trying to learn some of that depth. So it is different, I think, as far as being early, that the more you want guys to get reps. At the end of the year, you might say, hey, quarterback, get out of there. Hey, you get. But now we need those guys to get, especially with the situation we got. We need as many plays as we can get. So, we got to go down there and play 4 quarters and not rest anybody or, hey, let's hold this guy for. We can't afford to do that right now. We're obviously holding enough people as it is.
So Charleston Southern will head down to Tallahassee. They played the Seminoles back in 2011. Bucks back there on Saturday, a 12:30 kickoff that you can watch on Fox Sports South. For Jamey Chadwell, my name is Kevin O'Rourke. Thanks for watching the Jamey Chadwell Show.